everyone, and welcome to Siska Stitches and Designs. In this video, I'm going to be joining my lined bodice to my already cut 6 pieces pattern on fabric to get my mermaid dress. So right now, I'm going to be joining the shoulders of my front bodice, rather. What I do is turn the front bodice inside out, and then I'm going to insert the back portion of my bodice inside the front bodice, and I need to ensure that the right sides are touching, and then the zipper panel of that back bodice is in the middle of my front bodice. So once I ensure all those are right, I begin adjusting the shoulders to meet, and then once I align that shoulder portion properly, I'm going to join with an allowance of 0.5 inches, which I normally give to my shoulder measurement. So 0.5 inches, and then I turn it back inside out. So right now I want to join the shoulders. I've measured my 0.5 inch allowance. I do a back stitch first to seal the stitch, and then I sew all the way down and also do a back stitch at the end, and then I turn it back inside out, as you can see right here. And as you can see, my sewing is neat, the seaming is not showing at all. So the next thing, I move ahead to joining my bodice. What I do first is measure the bust. I measure my bust measurement, and I can see I have an excess of 2 inches because my measurement is 19 right on the fabric, and my bust measurement is 34 divided by 2, that is 17. So I subtract 17 from 19, leaving me with 2 inches, and I spread that 2 inches on each side, so marking 1 inch on one side. I spread the 2 inches across, and once I do that, I do the same for my under bust. Draw a line and join the front portion of my bodice to the back portion of that bodice. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to be cutting 1 inch off my back bodice and draw a diagonal line all the way down to the side and cut it. The reason I do that is to prevent creasing at the back of my bodice, because most times my back side raises my dress up. So I want to prevent that crease or that fold from happening. And once I'm done cutting, I'm going to sew my lining to my fabric. This is to prevent it from shifting when I'm joining it to the skirt portion of my dress. So I'm all done with my bodice. The next thing I do is move to the skirt portion of the dress. So right here are my panels. This is the back panel. It's divided into, I'm having 4 there because of my zipper panel, and I'm having 3 for my front panels. So over to joining. I start with my front first, joining the short sides of my side panels to the middle panel, to my center panel, and I will be joining with an allowance of 0.75 inches. The reason I'm joining with 0.75 inches is because on drafting I gave an allowance of 1.5 inches, and if you remember, I did my calculations on fold at the end, so I'm dividing that 1.5 inches by 2, which is leaving me with 0.75 inches on one side, on each side. So 0.75 inches for my joining allowance, and then I join the side panels to the front middle panel, the short side specifically, because I elongated one side. So the short side of my side panels to my front middle panel. And sometimes I use my tape rule as a guide while sewing, so I do not exceed my 0.75 inches of allowance. So here is the front portion of my skirt, and this is how the front portion looks after joining. Here is the wideness. That's how wide it is. So I also joined the back panels, but joining side panels to 1/2 of my zipper panel first. That's what I do. That's why I have two portions of my back, of the back panels. And that's the tail at the end. So the next thing now I'm going to do, what I did was pin the front portion of the skirt to the back panels, and I'm going to be adjusting it to my measurement. So first of all, I measured the waist portion of that skirt, and then what I do is divide my waist measurement, my exact waist measurement, which is 28 by 2, 14. Subtract 14 from that measurement. What I got here was about 18 inches. So 14 from 18, that is 4 inches, and I'm going to spread that 4 inches across each side. So I mark 2 inches on one side, 2 inches on one side, and I do the same for my hip measurement. So once I'm done measuring, marking out my measurement, I draw a line from waist to hip, and then from hip I continue that all the way down, and then I sew the side. So the next thing after joining is to notch the center of my front bodice. I fold it in two. I do the same for the skirt portion as well. I notch the center. That's because I want the darts to align properly to my joinings in the skirt. And once I start sewing from the notched portions of the skirt and bodice. I start sewing from the notched portion. I make sure I align them properly and sew with my joining allowance of half an inch. And once I sew, this is how it looks like. The next thing I do is move to the joining of the attachment of my zip. If you've watched my previous video where I made a mermaid skirt, it's the same method of joining my zip. Simple mermaid dress is the same method of joining my zip. Right there I did here, making sure I changed my presser foot to a zipper foot, and since I'm sewing an invisible zip, I make sure to sew as close to the fit as possible. So here my zip is all joined, and then I'm going to be joining the rest of my zipper panel, but I'm not going to join it all the way down. The reason I'm not joining it all the way down is because I want to hem the bottom of my skirt before doing the rest of the joining, or I should have joined the hem of my skirt before actually joining the rest of my zipper panel. Or anyway, anyone works. So I'm all done halfway through my zipper panel, and the next thing I'm going to do right now is hem the bottom of my skirt, of my dress, with an allowance of 0.5 inches. Each fold is 0.25. I make sure it's as thin as possible. And once I'm done joining the back portion of that panel, I clip the ends off, because when I open the tail portion of the skirt, I don't want any fabric showing out from the inside. And then once I'm done, my dress is all ready. It's all ready to be worn. And then if you do this and you don't get your exact fit, you can do the necessary adjustments you need. So here is my dress, and that is the tail portion of that dress. So as you can see right here. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye.